Here for part 4 of Mega Man 11 Pacifist Edition. Want to remind you guys, if you enjoy these videos, to go ahead and hit the like button. When it comes to Torchman, this level, there's no beating around the bush with it. There are a lot of enemies, some of which you can avoid, many of which you cannot. And not only that, but there is a literal firewall chasing you around that makes things very difficult to deal with enough time, even when you can blast through enemies. But you can't do that if you're doing a Pacifist edition. So, we have 2 items that are designed to help us with this situation that we've gotten from the store. The first one is a speed gear boost that allows you to run at regular speed as everything else is going in slow motion. The second thing we got is this super guard. And what the super guard does is half the damage that you take either for one level or until you die, whichever happens first. These tents are almost pixel perfect in how you have to treat them if you want to get through without taking any damage. It is possible, but it's not easy. But you use good old Rush, our trusty companion, to help us get through some of these hits. We're going to use the speed gear to our full effect to make the most of this situation. I got sniped there. That's alright. Trying to go a little too fast. We do have a mandatory hit here. It doesn't look mandatory, but if you didn't take that hit, you'd never be able to jump over the pit. These torch enemies, they're going to become a big pain, and the reason is the game intends you to use them as platforms. You hit them once, and then it extinguishes the fire, and it stands there waiting for you to use it as a platform. I'm not going to hit it, and as a result, that's going to later on turn into a couple of forced hits. So we'll deal with that as it comes, which is right now. These tents would require pixel perfect jumps, which I'm not going to do, but that's alright. That gets us to our first boss, which, if you're a fan of food, I've just been referring to it as the Hot Tennessee Chicken. He just wants to jump on you. But he's not too big of a deal, even with a random torch owl. So, we get to the checkpoint, we get a little health, we get past the first one, and we deal with a mandatory hit there. Speaking of mandatory hit, we're going to take a carrot to the face. Still not the worst tasting vegetable I've ever had. Uh-oh. Ooh, that was close. So what that gear power-up does... Oh. Okay, what that gear power-up does is replenish your gauge. Now, when it comes to these spiders, I use the speed gauge for the last one just for progress, but there's another way to deal with them. And the way to deal with them is when they're bouncing here like this, you can just go past them. You can slide past them. Like that. So they intend for you, as I mentioned with the platform, to hit this and then ride the platform to the next side. But I'm not going to do that because, you know, Pacifist. So, instead we use Rush. So this section is not bad as long as you don't fall into a pit on that hit. And as long as, wait for it, you get the life here. Wasn't able to avoid that hit. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But I should be able to deal with almost everything here. And we are getting close to our third firewall. which is going to take a lot of tanking hits. So we'll let that pass by. What they don't tell you about the firewall is it continuously gets to at least the edge of your screen, so you can never truly outrun it. We have 3 mandatory hits here, and we are at the boss. Now, when it comes to Torchman, he's similar to Magma Dragoon in a way, except they took out a lot of the very, very obvious Street Fighter references. I'm going to spend some time focusing on this. Oh! Sometimes he catches me. So here's what I'm going to do. Because he is kicking my butt a little bit, I will take advantage. Alright, so I think that we barely took that one. I wasn't able to talk as much during that battle because that battle requires a little more focus than some of the previous ones. But we did pull it off. And as tempting as it is, I am not going to give a fire or hot pun. It's really tempting though. So, in exchange, we get Torchman's weapon, which the primary thing that this is going to help us with is not only Blast Man as a weakness, but it also, the Blazing Torch gives us the ability to blow up the boxes in Blast Man's stage without taking out an enemy. When we deal with Blast Man, it's going to be a hard, it's going to be a difficult stage, and we're going to have another philosophical dilemma here, because we've got to deal with a lot of exploding boxes and the fact that those can knock out enemies. So the question's going to be, if those boxes take out the enemies, was that me taking out the enemies, or was that the stage taking out the enemies? So let me know in the comments if you think that that the stage's exploding boxes taking out the enemies goes against the spirit of the Pacifist run or not. I'll let you know what I decide. I haven't practiced going through that stage yet, so I'll see how possible it is and see if it needs to be a big dilemma or not. But regardless, let me know in the comments what you think about that.
As always. Even robots that think for themselves will never be anything more than tools.
I'm going to go ahead and skip past this. It's a little bit of backstory. Maybe some of you are here for the Mega Man story, although I doubt many of you are. But basically, they've also given us Rush Jet, which will definitely help on some of these stages, in particular Impact Man stage. So, and maybe even Blast Man stage. We'll have to see about that. So that was part 4. We are halfway through the Robot Masters, and we are working our way through. Thanks for staying with me for so long. Again, if you like what you see here, let me know what other types of videos that you would enjoy. And in the meantime, go ahead and put a like on the video, and I will see you next time.